Hey, this is Subspace Transmissions. I'm Tyler.
And I'm Cam.
Cam, I think there's a lot of excitement going on right now for the Picard spinoff. I think you had mentioned to me outside of the podcast realm that you might be more excited for this than any other kind of spinoff idea that's out there. I don't blame you. Picard versus Starfleet Academy, understandable.
Right.
But it's bringing up the question, like, do you think it's inevitable that we're going to get like a Picard Borg episode with regards to this new spinoff?
I think most of the people behind the scenes are going to be drawn to the great stories of TNG, right? Well, when you say the great stories of TNG, what are you thinking? You're thinking things like Best of Both Worlds, the First Contact film, maybe even Borg. Mm-hmm. Episodes like that are going to come up on the rotation, so it makes a lot of sense to me that they're going to say, well, what are the Borg doing now? How would Picard interact now as he's, older, wiser, maybe doesn't have that sort of anger towards them that he did in his younger years?
But my concern, though, is that we've kind of had the Picard PTSD story with regards to an episode such as Family.
Sure.
And it was dealt with once again in Star Trek First Contact.
He's like rolling in the mud with Worf this time.
I can't wait. I cannot wait.
Yeah.
But are we just going to be treading on old ground once again if we do another Picard encounters the Borg episode? There's nothing more I'd love to see than the Borg Queen and Picard going at it again.
Sure.
Like, just put...
Oh my.
No, I'm just saying, put them in like a set together. Just I want to see that back and forth. Like, I would love that. But I want to see Picard go to new places, and I think what we need to see is Picard dealing with the Borg in an entirely different way, something that we haven't seen before.
Okay, well, if you look at the final episode of Deep Space Nine, we saw that Kira was playing a role in basically saving/reshaping Cardassia.
Okay, yeah.
What if Picard ultimately has to save the Borg to a certain degree?
Well, the only way that I think this could work is, like, let's say, based on the events of Voyager, eventually the collective has just become disconnected.
Sure.
And you've got billions upon billions of individuals that don't know what to do with themselves. They are all individuals now, and they need maybe a bit of a shepherd and somebody who's been through this before.
He was Locutus.
And, and maybe if Jerry Ryan's not available for this particular episode of the Picard spinoff, then you could get, like, Patrick Stewart to be, like, leading, like, groups of people that are former members of the collective and, like, saying, this is how you gain your humanity.
Way to forget about Icheb.
Sorry. I genuinely feel bad about that.
No,
as well as those two little twins.
Right, yeah.
As opposed to the four little twins.
I don't know.
Anyway, I think that there's a lot of potential for a Picard, Borg episode to be good, as long as we're not just, like, hitting the same beats with regards to the character once again. Because otherwise, I mean, if he's still dealing with the trauma, which I still believe, like, needs to be dealt with, it'd be a good point for Troy to come into the picture.
Right.
But I just want to see them do something entirely different and new with regards to the Borg and the future Picard.
Well, Star Trek is all about sort of the human ideal, and who represents that better than Picard?
I do.
Well, obviously. But I mean, Picard to go in and help his enemies, these sort of disconnected Borgs who are in disarray and maybe even, frightened or scared. For Picard to go in there and sort of represent the best that humanity is, willing to basically hold out that olive branch to his former enemies, I think that would speak very true to the Picard character and what he's supposed to represent. I guess the question is more so, like, is that a story that people really want to see? And I don't know that it is. I don't know that that's
a story that I want to see. You probably want to see it.
Do you really? Or do you think it's like a more fun to imagine than it would be to actually watch?
Oh, no, I do agree with you there. Yeah. But I just think it's inevitable that they will do a Borg episode for the spinoff.
Yeah.
But I'm much more interested in seeing, Picard doing the olive branch thing as opposed to reliving trauma that I think that has been dealt with before in First Contact,
and really
as well as Family.
Yeah.
And really well. And not to negate the trauma that he went through, not to say that, hey, PTSD just, like, subsides after, like, a flick of a switch or anything like that. But I think we need to, really tackle it in a different way.
And I think you have to tackle it because when you look at the character of Picard, his relationship with the Borg is probably the most sort of profound one in relation to another alien species he has. I mean...
What's the next closest contender there?
Depends if you count Q.
Okay.
I would say maybe the Q Continuum. I mean, he's fairly tight with the Klingons as well.
Yeah.
He was the Arbiter of Succession.
That's true.
So, I mean, there's that. But I feel like he's not as touched personally by the Klingon experience as obviously what happened to him with the Borg, which is very invasive, but also, I'm sure, shaped a lot of his worldview going forward. I don't know that another alien species really did that, even Q.
Yeah.
Although Tapestry, I think, probably worked some wonders on him.
Yeah, but, you know, either way, maybe you can get his artificial heart as featured in Tapestry to explode with nanoprobes, and that can lead to our next adventure with Captain Picard.
The heart's the only thing that can save the Borg. He's like, take my heart.
It's a very literal and figurative episode.
It's a clumsily written script, let's face it.
Yes. I'll be writing it.